First question.
Thank you, John. And the first question goes back to Mr. Creel, right? Okay. Mr. Creel, what is the biggest misconception regarding the Sheriff's Department?
Well, one of the things that's been put out in the last several years that is Wakulla County is the only law enforcement agency in the county, and the only one that makes door-to-door house calls. This is not true. This is not true. The Highway Patrol goes to doors. They notify deaths. That's one of the biggest misconceptions right there, that they are the only agency in the county that makes house calls, because other agencies do make house calls. There's also a misconception that our crime rate is down. They're saying our crime rate's down. They're saying that we're only taking 12.3% of the budget every year. That's wrong. That's a misconception.
The biggest misconception that I'm finding here is that a lot of people think that the Florida Highway Patrol has the same type of law enforcement responsibilities that we have at the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office. Don't get me wrong. The other candidate and I chose different career paths. And let me be the first to say that they're very noble career paths. But whenever it comes to working a burglary and you call for assistance, the Florida Highway Patrol is not going to show up. Game and Freshwater Fish Commission is not going to show up. We're going to show up. When it's called to a fight, guess who's going to show up? The green and white vehicle. If it's a rape, if it's a person's crime, if it's a property crime, and you make that call, I can assure you the Florida Highway Patrol is not going to show up at your door to answer that call. It will, in fact, be a green and white, and the deputy sheriff will be in that car. So that is one of the misconceptions as well. As far as the crime rate is concerned, to use FDLE's crime stats to allege that Wakulla County is a dangerous place to live, I don't think anyone here tonight feels like they're in danger. And that we have a high crime rate, well, that's untrue, and it's misleading. Wakulla County is in the top 1/3 safest counties in the state of Florida right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes back to you, Mr. Langston, as well. What should be the top priority for the Sheriff's Department?
Obviously, right now we're in a very lean economy, and the budget is of the utmost importance. And there's a lot of misinformation that's floating around out there right now regarding the budget. So let me go ahead and try and clear some of that up for you. The total county budget is over $42 million. The law enforcement portion budget is 12% of that, not the 54% or the 53% that the other candidate talks about. The law enforcement budget is a little over $5 million. The sheriff also receives an additional $5 million to run the county jail, emergency management, E911, and court services. These services are mandated by Florida statutes, and the Board of County Commissioners have actually selected the Sheriff's Office to manage them for the county because we can manage them most effectively and most efficiently. The Wakulla County Sheriff's Office has cut nearly $900,000 from its budget during the last 2 budget years. Last year, $743,000. This year, $150,000. And please let me go ahead and get this cleared up too. Our budget is a line item budget. And even though my opponent has continually said, I do not understand the budget, it's not that hard. He's been invited to the Sheriff's Office to review and to have the budget explained to him. But to me, let me just say this, it's very simple. If it says salaries, it means we pay people. If it says postage, we mail letters. If it says utilities, we pay the electric bill. If it says motor fuel cost, that means we bought gasoline for the vehicles. It's really a lot like your own budget at home. If you want to look at it, please go to my website and take a look at it there. It's posted for you. Thank you.
I missed the invitation to come up here and review the budget. Nobody called me. The budget is the most pressing issue right now. That is the most pressing issue. That's why, if elected, I'm going to call for an audit to be done to find out how our money's being spent. And there is some misconception on the budget. The total county budget this year is $42 million. That's including school board. Besides the water management district in this county, in every county, we've got 2 taxing authorities. The county commission sets the millage rate, and the school board sets their rate. So the total budget, including the school board, is $42 million. You don't count that. You count money that is being doled out by the Board of County Commissioners. This year, the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office portion of that budget is $10,360,000. The budget for the other county agencies is $9,042,000. That comes up to 52.7%. And by turning, and these are figures I got from the clerk of the court's office. I sat down with Greg James and got these figures from him. The sheriff's office budget last year was $9,650,000. This year it's $10,360,000. I don't see where the money got turned back, because the budget is higher this year. So we have to have an audit. And there's been a misconception about the audit, saying an audit can cost $300,000. I stated we would have an audit done by the Florida Auditor General's office. I contacted the Auditor General's office. It doesn't cost a dime to have it done. You can request, as a constitutional officer, them to come in and do your audit. Now I would follow a regime that's been there 30-something years. It makes good business sense to have an audit done. I mean, businesses are bought and sold every day, and there's an audit done before they buy that business. And this is a business with a $10 million budget.
Next question. Back to Mr. Creel, yes. There is a perception that WCSO currently lags behind in the use of technology and hands-on training, even with grant money available to fulfill both resources. What will you do to acquire and use new technology, along with providing more hands-on training for deputies?
They've got a pretty good technology up there. But one of the things I would do, as past president of NAMI Wakulla, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, I would make sure that every one of our deputies went through crisis intervention training. There was just a shooting over in Putnam County to where they shot a mentally ill man. They didn't have crisis intervention training. Now their sheriff is sending them to Duval County, that Sheriff John Rutherford developed, to teach deputies how to deal with mentally ill people. This has got to be done. Animal abuse. I've heard a lot about animal abuse. I would make sure our deputies are trained, highly trained in animal abuse, to where it's not beating a dog or a cat. Medicine, medical problems, flea problems. These are all problems that they have to be trained in to recognize animal cruelty.
Training in the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office is the latest technology, as the other candidate has said. We are required by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to have so many mandatory retraining hours annually. Our training department within the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office is second to none. All of our deputies stay current on their training. As far as the other gentleman said that CIT training is most important, I'm going to agree with him wholeheartedly. As a matter of fact, if you want to know who the very first person with the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office that was trained in crisis intervention training, you're looking at him. I had that first training. And also, since that time, we have worked together with NAMI, and we've also worked together with the Department of Corrections, and we sent not only communications officers over there to have this training, we also sent correctional officers, as well as we also sent the line level deputy sheriffs and supervisors over there to be trained as well. As far as animal abuse, folks, that's basic. We get that in basic law enforcement academy. As a matter of fact, there's nothing that the other candidate is going to be able to teach any of those deputy sheriffs out there on the road about animals, animal neglect, animal abuse. It's statutorily stated as to what you will do. And that's exactly what we do. We enforce it, and we will continue to do so. We'll continue to work with Chad, and we'll continue to work with our Wakulla County Animal Control. Thank you.
Back to you, Mr. Langston, again. Y'all each talked about your experiences. What positions have you held in the past where you were personally responsible for hiring, evaluating, supervising, and dismissing law enforcement officers?
You know, that's always an interesting concept of having to fire deputy sheriffs or hire deputy sheriffs. We're an accredited law enforcement agency. Now let me tell you what an accreditation means. Accreditation means that you are held to professional standards in the way that you conduct yourself and the way that you treat your people. There is a protection bill for our law enforcement officers, but we're an accredited agency. And what that means is, for instance, if you were going to send your loved one to a hospital in Tallahassee and one was accredited and one was not, which one would you send it to? You would send it to the one that was accredited. If you were going to send your child to a school, a college, what would you send it to? One that was accredited or one that was not? My experience at the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office is at every level and every bureau within the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office. I started out as a deputy sheriff and K-9 handler. I brought the first K-9 to Wakulla County. Then I was a school resource officer. And then I moved to crimes against children, detective, sergeant, worked my way up. In 1988, I was promoted to the rank of major. And I worked as a major from 1988 up until a couple of years ago, or a year ago, and I was promoted to undersheriff. And since that time, I am now a major as the Director of Administration. We have policies and procedures in place and how to deal with hiring, how to deal with firing, how to deal with disciplinary. But please understand that there is a bill that protects our employees, and it's the most important bill, and we always abide by it. And we'd like to see all of our members of the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office, one fine department, always treated fairly. Thank you.
For years, I was a field training officer. And a field training officer, FTO officer, is an officer that trains new law enforcement officers when they come out of the academy. They have to go through a 10-week training period out on the road and be taught the ropes and taught to be street savvy. And I've trained, I don't know how many officers. I taught at the FBI or the FTO school training new field training officers. This is one of the most important areas for training of a law enforcement officer. He can go to the academy, he can study book stuff, and he can get out on the firing range and do all that. But when he hits that field, and he's got a training officer that knows what he's doing and is training him and training him to do it the right way, training him to do the things that are supposed to be done, training him so he doesn't have to risk getting fired, working with him, watching him every day, spend every day in the car with him, and evaluate him every single day and every week.
Next question, back to Mr. Creel. Neither the state constitution nor the county charter require that the jail be managed by the sheriff's department. Should the sheriff and the sheriff's department manage the jail? Why or why not?
Yeah, there's a lot of counties in the state that let the BOCC take over their jails. As long as it's being run efficient, as long as it's being run legally, and as long as it's being run within budget, I think the sheriff's office should keep the jail. Board of County Commissioners shouldn't have to run a jail, but there are a lot of them in the state that have been taken over by the Board of County Commissioners.
Absolutely. The Board of County Commissioners has charged the Wakulla County Sheriff to oversee the jail. And it's most important simply because we have taken on the philosophy of operating a jail and treating government like you would treat your private business. And so since 1991, we built a jail a little larger than we should have. And the county commissioners agreed to do that. And in doing that, we have generated since 1991, $33 million that we have turned every penny back over to the Board of County Commissioners. And so that's one of the ways that we are treating government like you would treat your private business. And so does it make sense for a sheriff with a vision, a goal for the welfare of Wakulla County to take and lessen the taxpayers' burden, because each year we have turned in $3 million back over to the Board of County Commissioners. And in our budget, over the past 4 years, we have turned in over $580,000 back to the Board of County Commissioners. So is it important for the sheriff to have the jail? Absolutely. And we will continue to operate it like a business. We will continue to generate, by state mandate, you have to run a jail. And so why not have it there at the sheriff's office where we can run it effectively, efficiently, and use it as a revenue stream? Thank you.